Hello and welcome to this week's installment of Bophelong with me, Bulem Molebatsi. We're back with stories of individuals who make us proud and inspire us to challenge boundaries. Change is possible if you believe, and that's what they have proven to us. Today's featured guest proves that a vision together with courage can change difficult circumstances into a bright and better future. Founder of Puso Busa Muso shares her life story from being a teen mother to owning one of the leading mining companies in South Africa. This is Refilwe Sebotoma's story.
Refilwe Sebotoma was born and raised in Marikana as one of the triplet. Being a small-town girl, Refilwe didn't think her fate would lie on a white male-dominated career path.
My mom she's a very strong, independent woman, very hardworking. So because she then had to go to work and work and make sure that we go to school. I mean, I'm a triplet by birth, so she had to take care of all of us at the same time.
An unexpected family separation caused her a bit of hurt.
While we were growing, we also lost our triple sister. So it's just me and my twin brother, Neo. But we do have an elder brother, Ofense.
Refilwe also faced challenging of separating with her mother after her parents' divorce.
I think the biggest challenge for me would be that when we left my dad's house and we went back to live Lekoko, almost immediately at the same time, my mom had to leave us with my grandmother to go work and make sure that she pays the bills and all that. And I think the biggest challenge became that because I grew up in a very strict environment, where you go to school, you come back home. And now all of a sudden, I'm leaving Lekoko and she loves us. I mean, the grandchildren, and now all of a sudden there's that liberty.
A new township and freedom from home caused Refilwe to fall into mistakes.
It was one of my biggest challenges, having boys all over. And I think at that young age, and you are now coming from this broken environment, you find validity in boys telling you that you're pretty and you're hot and all that, and you are bound to make mistakes.
Refilwe can now embrace the mistakes that she made.
I started making kids at a very young age. So when I was doing grade 11, I then became pregnant with my firstborn, Ompemezi. And it was very painful. It was painful because, Kokasi, if you fall pregnant and you are young, it's almost as if it's over. You are written off and, there's nothing that can come out of you. And it was painful. I had disappointed my mom. I had disappointed my teachers. I had always been a smart child at school, so I had disappointed my teachers a lot as well.
Despite society ruling her out as a failure, Refilwe persisted on proving them wrong.
I remember December, I went home and I gave birth, and January when the school opened, I told myself I'm going back to school, I'm going to do my matric, and I'm going to pass it. And I think I came out with lessons because then it became me proving myself and proving everyone wrong that you can still do mistakes, but we can learn from mistakes and move on. And I wanted to change the status quo because at the time it said if you fall pregnant at this age, it's over. But I wanted to say, I now have a child and I'm going to make this child every reason for me to do well and to be okay.
Her zeal and tenacity did indeed change the status quo.
I went back, I did my matric, I passed it with exemption, and I went to Joburg and I studied with UJ. So yeah, it's a situation that could have turned worse, but I turned it around and used it for my own benefits and for my own good.
Between studying and working, Refilwe's family played a huge supporting role.
My mom, I remember we had one of the hardest talks with my mom, and she said, you know what, you did mistakes, but I can see your willingness and your drive and your courage to want to fix things, so go back to school and I'll take care of your baby, and she did exactly that. So I left the baby with my mom.
Things mending, Refilo's life took better shape than predicted by society.
I really just wanted to focus on making things okay, being able to buy, to be able to go home, get a plastic yalebese or something, or toys for my baby. And, so really my focus moved into me making things okay and working hard and start winning, not just for myself, but for me, for my family, and for my new child as well.
Refilo is now gunning for bigger things.
Even now, as I strive for higher heights, it's really about that. I want to project that message that a girl who was raised up from a broken family, from a poor background, made mistakes while young, and look at me where I am now.
Refilo worked up to 6 years before venturing on her own.
I did National High Certificate in Accountancy, and at the same time I had to work, and then I went to work for Lonmin Platinum Mines. And when I joined them, I was privileged to go back to school. They paid for my studies.
Refilo started Busobu Samuso Creations after being inspired by her husband, who's also in business.
My husband is an entrepreneur himself, and he's been in business way longer than I have been, and then I started helping him out with the books and the spreadsheets and this and that after work, and he was doing quite well, and I thought, okay, this is actually very interesting. And then I remember that's when the strike happened, the huge strike that hit Lonmin. That's when it happened, and after that, I knew I didn't want to go back to work, and I also knew that I didn't want to go look for a job at the same time.
And after the break, Refilo talks to us about turning a vision into a lucrative business and how being a self-taught entrepreneur worked out to her advantage. That's coming up after the ad break.
When we were little, life felt big, with something new to discover around every corner. Yet somehow, living small became the norm. Until we remember how great living big really is. At Macro, we're still big on being big. Big on convenience, experience, range, and savings. Big on the moments that matter. Rediscover how beautiful it is to be big on life.
Whether you're looking for a restaurant, public transport, or a university, a lot of us use our smartphone apps to find the closest one. On Network, we chat to those who play a role in Africa's tech space.
We have taken financial services closer to the people. Mobile penetration is pretty high.
Apple take 30%, keep 70%.
On Network, we give you Africa's social media and technology news. That's Network with Ms. Phumelele Zondi every Sunday at 7:30 p.m. Central African Time.
Young girls crossing our borders often find themselves alone in the big city of Johannesburg.
I came here when my pregnancy was 6 months.
Like many other girls from Zimbabwe, Abigail found her way here to the Central Methodist Church.
My friend who was raped, who was forced to have sex at the church.
I insisted that this needed to be handled with the police.
I think you don't have rights. You do what you don't want to do, and you'll be forced.
Any refugee in a strange country is vulnerable to forms of abuse and manipulation.
I don't have any option. I can just continue to put the guys so that I can take care of my baby.
Welcome back to the show with me, Bophelong Molebatsi. Refilwe Sobotoma now heads PBM Creations, competing with industry giants in the field, and she isn't even fazed by the fact that she makes a very small percentage of female-owned businesses of that kind. In fact, that is part of the motivation behind her work.
Refilwe Sobotoma from Marikana changed her label from teen mom to businesswoman when she started her company Busobu Samuso Creations in 2014 with no experience. She conceived the idea of making safety gear from her last job.
I was working for Lonmin Platinum Mine. That was the last 2 years of my life in the corporate world. And I think Lonmin being a mining house, they take safety quite seriously. At the time, I decided to leave and start my own business. And to be honest with you, I didn't know what I was going to do. But I think because I'm born and raised in Marikana, which is a mining town, and at the time I'm working for Lonmin Platinum Mine, the only sensible thing that I could do was probably to do something in mining or in safety, because that's what my environment was all about at the time.
With no experience of running a company, Refilwe had a lot to learn.
The cattle are pregnant inside.
Yeah.
On the white ones.
I then decided to start learning more about safety. Why is safety so crucial and why is it so important? That's when I came across things like Occupational Health and Safety Act, which is the act that actually addresses the issues of safety at a workplace. So yeah, I mean, I slept on Google. Everything that I know today as far as safety at a workplace is concerned, it is really being self-taught.
Having to learn things by herself was not easy.
Every profession, they've got their own jargons and the way of using words and how they use words. And I remember one client asked me for a D59 overall, so I learned to type extremely fast because I had to make sure every single time I need to respond to a client, I'm sitting on my Google and I'm typing and I'm writing everything that the client would ask about, then I would go and go in Google and find out what is a D59, why do they call it a D59, what does it do, which industries uses that, and why do they have to use that.
PBM grew wisdom by learning from those who traveled ahead of them.
Other thing that I did as well is that I identified bigger guys who were already in the industry, who had already traveled the road, and I would call them. So if a client is looking for something and I'm not sure where to get it or what is it, I would call them. In particular, there was a guy called Mr. Gora. He was one of the technical mentors that if I can refer him to that, who helped me to get this and that and to know where to get it and how to get it, and why people use certain PPEs and certain specifications as well.
She also admits that she expected a whole lot more challenges.
Then you just need to make sure one thing that really helped me and prepared me is that already I came into business with this negative perception of business is not easy. There's a lot of people who give up. There's a lot of people who have not made it and all that, So I think I came in the industry really knowing and expecting the worst hardships. And I think even when we got to hit some hard surfaces, it was like, yeah, they did tell me about it.
There are still some challenges that remain valid till date.
I think one of the biggest challenges, and I think it still remains a challenge today, is that my industry is very white male dominated, and the level to entry, it's quite rough as well. You don't just come into the industry and you are well accepted and received as well.
PBM clients include some of the big industry players.
Our product can be used throughout every single industry. Safety and environmental health, it's critical for every single industry. And the bigger plan is really to find ourselves being represented in every single industry, both in South Africa and the SADC countries as well. And right now we're not yet there, but some of our clients, we're looking at PPC cement factories, your Lafarge gypsum, your Mali building systems. Sims Payway, Mona Level Engineering Services, Figile Construction, Sipako Cement. Those are some of our clients, just to mention a few.
PPC buyer Morris Mukwena discovered PBM while searching for suppliers.
I did check it on the internet, and then I saw they are selling the PPE, and then from there I get the contact number for Refillway, and then I contacted her to get some code, and then we start to do business with them.
PBM Creations specializes in a specific range and quality of workmen's suits and accessories.
We decided to do premium quality, so very high quality of our products. And that in its own, it's a very dangerous value proposition for one to have, because it means you are speaking to a specific customer segmentation, and you're speaking to big businesses who are used to doing business with other big businesses. So if you come as a small fish and they want to give you tedious payment terms like 60 days payment, and I mean, you just started, So those are really some of the challenges. And I think if there's any way that I can say we've been able to overcome some of them, it's through communication and building relationships.
Being a black female, Refillway sees it as no advantage to her business.
I always say that we are guilty until we prove ourselves innocent in business. Unfortunately, that's how it is. So you've got many other people who went before you and they messed up, and people try to help them and they messed up. So when you walk in the door, already you are painted with the same paint, and it is totally up to one person to change the status quo and to change the message to say, we are young, we're black, but we're determined and we want to do this and we want to prove you wrong.
Well, such determination can only result in great outcomes. Let's take a short break. When we return, we'll take a look at Refillway's approach to staying on top of her game in business, despite the challenges that come with her occupation. Stay with SABC News.
Police found powerful military explosives when they swooped on a house in Springs on the Gauteng.
Some of the weapons seized at this house included rocket-propelled grenades, rifles, and even rounds of ammunition.
All military explosives that we found that you cannot obtain a commission.
The weapons found at the house not only had the potential to cause major damage to property, but they also put many lives at risk.
I could have lost any one of my family members, or most of my family members.
We tell you about Africa's social media and technology landscape. 21st century economies rely on technology to truly thrive.
We have quite a comprehensive portfolio of interventions in the tech entrepreneurship space.
And Africans are using tech and social media to solve the continent's unique challenges.
App Nigeria is an online marketplace.
Radio Vibe is a social media platform for radio music.
That's Network with me, Phumelele Zondi, every Sunday at 7:30 p.m. Central African Time.
Welcome back to the last segment of our show. We saved the best for last for you. In this insight, Refilwe shares her tips to success. Let's have a look.
PBM Creations was recently featured on an entrepreneurial show, Making Moves, as one of the few black female companies that specialize in premium safety gear.
We specialize in a full range of personal protective clothing, corporate clothing, and corporate gifting.
PBM has been part of the SAB Kickstart program.
I always say whenever there's a gathering where there's an opportunity for me to learn, I take that on all the time. So most of them being your business seminars, business gatherings, but there are also other networks, you know, like occupational health and safety, SIOSH. There are other boards such as SAPIMA, IBN. So these are gatherings that really you get other people who are more experienced, other people who are doing better than you are doing, you know. So when you get out of such gatherings, you really get out motivated. Some of them, they really focus on us supporting each other as entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurship is hard, it's difficult, and it can be lonely at times. And it's critical for me to identify such, you know, platforms to be able to speak to other like-minded people who understand your frustrations, who understand what you're going through, and are able to guide you as well, because some of the challenges they've went through themselves as well.
Refilwe is not even afraid to ask.
It's that I've never really been scared to ask for help. I ask for help all the time.
Starting with nothing to owning every part of her business, PBM has made its turning point.
So when we started, we were outsourcing everything. I mean, we didn't have anything. I started the business at the garage of my home, you know, so we really didn't have anything. So we would get orders and give them to other players which were longer in the industry. I make relevance to Mr. Gora earlier. So guys like that, we would get orders and give them the orders, and we'll just make a markup and then deliver to the client. But when the business started growing, we took all of the profits that we were making and started buying things like machinery and smaller things, you know, and started trying to do most of the things internally, and that has helped us in creating employment. It has helped us in being able to control at least some part of our value chain and to control our value proposition as well.
Consistency and communications is what got Refilwe to swim with the big fish.
My biggest strength is still my communication skills. I talk with my clients all the time. And I say to my team the same thing. Clients don't get frustrated because we don't deliver in time or we break a promise. Clients get upset and mad because we inconvenience them. If we're supposed to deliver today, let it be today. And 3 days before, if you realize you are unable to meet the deadline, be honest about it. We are unable to meet the deadline because of these reasons and all that. You know, so I think that still remains my very strong point as an entrepreneur. I'm able to communicate timelessly with clients, and that enables us to really get that transparency and to build those kind of relationships.
Her husband says there is no better person to run this business but Refilwe.
To go full into PPE, not in terms of supplying alone, to be more like industrializing a business. We must stop going to Swaziland. We must go to China. We must stop going to Lesotho to get PPE. People like Refilwe, if government can fully support, and not only support, give them access to the markets. You can't give her money and deny her to get access to the market. If they give them money and more like a certain percentage in terms of saying our government spent 10-15%, it will go to black women PPE manufacturing companies. So that is what I'm wishing her for.
Now with the business booming, from a small squatter camp girl to an industry overtaker, Refilwe says she's trained her mind to think in billions now.
When we started, I mean, I came in with such a negative mindset. I knew things were tough, and I knew things were not so easily doable, you know. So we set very low budgets to achieve at the end of the first financial year, and I remember at the time we had projected to finish the year at 130,000, you know, and the end of that financial year and we closed the year at 800,000. And for me was like, okay, so this can be done, and it can be done at such a faster rate than I thought, you know. The second year we projected to finish the year at just over 1.2 million, and we closed the year at a revenue of just over 3 million. And I got more excited, and I'm now beginning to train my mind to thinking at that level, you know.
And that is how we conclude Refilwe's journey in business. Thank you for watching. Let's continue to share our stories of success, the stories that make us proud to be Africans. Do share your success stories with us. Our contact details are on the bottom of your screen right now. Have yourself a wonderful weekend. Until then, it's a goodbye from us here on the show.